How to make your enemies fear you without speaking a word. Welcome to Stoic Philosophy for Life, where silence builds strength, discipline shapes destiny, and wisdom leads the way. There is a kind of power greater than any speech. It does not shout, it does not threaten, it does not need to be loud to be heard. It is the power of presence, the power of stillness, the power of a man who no longer reacts because he no longer needs to. In the teachings of Stoic philosophy, the strongest man is not the one who dominates others through force, but the one who has mastered himself so completely that his very stillness becomes a storm. Let us walk through the 6 silent disciplines of fearlessness. Because to defeat your enemies, you do not need to fight. You only need to show them that they never had power over you to begin with. The strength of indifference. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius, the weak seek attention. The manipulative seek your reaction. They thrive on drama, on watching you flinch. But what happens when you give them nothing? When you remain calm in the face of insult? When you look back with still eyes and say no words at all? They are left alone with their powerlessness. A man who is indifferent to ridicule, gossip, or attempts to provoke him is a man who cannot be controlled. And that terrifies those who want control. Indifference is not apathy, it is silent strength. When you refuse to react, you win. The intimidation of self-mastery. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus, true power is not in how you are seen by others. It is in how little you need from them. The man who commands himself, his thoughts, his speech, his habits, his emotions, radiates a different energy. You feel it when he walks into a room. You feel it in his silence. You feel it in the absence of explanation. He does not prove himself. He does not perform. He simply is. And that presence, clean, calm, composed, unsettles the undisciplined. Self-mastery is not loud. It does not boast, but it makes those without it feel exposed, and that is a fear no threat can match. The power of not seeking revenge. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Marcus Aurelius. The small seek revenge. The wise seek growth. Man who does not waste his time plotting retaliation is a man on a higher path. He is not pulled into pettiness. He does not degrade his focus for the satisfaction of his pride. And so his enemies are left powerless. Because there is no greater frustration to a weak man than seeing the one he tried to harm walk forward, stronger, wiser, untouched. Your silence is not surrender. It is dominance. It is the quiet weight of a man who chooses purpose over ego. This is Stoic philosophy in action. To waste no breath on what is beneath you. The unshakable power of presence. Waste no more time arguing. What a good man should be one. Marcus Aurelius, your enemies should not see a man obsessed with them. They should see a man so consumed by his mission that they are forgotten. You don't need to speak of your power. You become it. You don't need to shout your direction. You walk it. Live in such a way that your discipline becomes the most deafening answer. Let your progress become the echo they cannot stop hearing. You rise not by confronting them, but by becoming so elevated that they no longer belong in your world. That is the most silent kind of domination, the authority of stillness. Stand firm like a rock. The waves crash against it, but it does not move. Seneca, most men are easy to read. Nervous hands, shifting eyes, quick mouths, but the man who remains still, who breathes slow, whose posture remains firm, who speaks less and watches more, that man commands attention without asking for it. Stillness is not weakness. It is focused power. It unsettles the enemy. It forces them to question their plan. It exposes their instability, because in a world addicted to reaction, the one who stays silent becomes a mystery, and people fear what they cannot understand. the mastery of inner detachment. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Marcus Aurelius. When someone tries to provoke you, what they seek is not your collapse. It's your reaction. They want your energy. They want you pulled into their drama. They want to live rent-free in your head. But what happens when you remain unmoved? When you act as though they don't exist, not out of arrogance, but because they hold no weight in your world? You strip them of power. To be indifferent is not to be cold, it is to be clean, to be untouched, to live in a fortress of your own command. You do not need to respond. You do not need to defend. Because the moment they realize they can't reach you, they begin to fall apart. And you rise. Final reflections from Stoic. Philosophy power is not always seen in motion. Often, it's in what remains still. The loudest men in the room are often the weakest. The man who walks with quiet discipline commands more fear than the one who threatens. In Stoic philosophy, strength is not about retaliation. It's about refusal. Refusal to be manipulated. Refusal to be provoked. Refusal to be anything but sovereign. You don't need to fight your enemies. You need to become so untouchable that they destroy themselves trying to disturb you. Let your presence carry the storm. Let your silence speak louder than confrontation. Let your restraint be the sword that cuts deepest. This is how we walk, here at Stoic Philosophy for Life. Where we do not chase power, we become the kind of men who no longer need to. If this resonated with you, don't just listen, embody it. Subscribe for more, not to be entertained, but to be sharpened, because we are not here to echo the chaos of the world. We are here to master ourselves so completely that even our enemies begin to fear our silence.